similar to what took place in games 1 and 2, and then both broke out as DeAndre Jordan comes up with an air ball in his first attempt.
Yeah, you talk about McCollum and Lillard having their moms in with them. I think Mom McHale would have cramped my style a little bit.
The air ball, a shot your coach will be saying should be free. There's no defense. It's just you, the ball, and 15 feet from the basket. They are the same variables every time you take a free throw. But yet, even at a professional level, players still miss these shots. Some players are so bad they need to be subbed out of games. But I think I have found a solution to this. It's the underhand free throw technique. To firstly put this into perspective how bad free throw shooters have been, one of the worst free throw performances is held by Andre Drummond, who missed 23 free throws in one game. It's not a statistic anybody wants to be proud of, but the list doesn't stop there. We have witnessed this over decades of bad free throw shooters, from Wilt Chamberlain to Shaq to Dwight Howard, and most recently, Ben Simmons, for not wanting to get fouled so he doesn't have to go to the free throw line. Shaq and Wilt finished their career as all-time big men. But have you ever thought if Shaq was to improve his free throw shooting? And was it even possible for Shaq to improve his free throw shooting? The underhand free throw seems to be frowned upon. Only a handful of people in NBA history or basketball history have used this technique. But what if it was to work? So I decided to do some research on the topic, and I have found 4 well-documented underhand free throw shooters around the world. These players have at some point in their career used the underhand free throw technique for a significant amount of time, and well, the results are quite interesting. In 1974, Rick Barry dropped a career-high 64 points and grabbed 10 boards. 2 seasons later, Barry averaged 30.6 points per game and claimed himself an NBA championship. During this historic run, Barry also led the league in free throw shooting at 90%. But not only did Barry lead the league this year, he led the league in free throw shooting 7 different times, all by shooting underhand. To say Barry was a good player is an understatement. He is a league MVP, Finals MVP, Hall of Famer, and a scoring champ. Throughout history, we have significant players who have done monumental things. MJ changed the game with his fadeaway. LeBron changed the game with his freakish athleticism, being able to drive at will to the basket, and Steph Curry with the three-point shot. For some reason, we never talk about Rick Barry and the way he changed the game. Because, well, he didn't. But maybe he should have. Because Barry shot the ball so well, he still ranked 7th all-time shooting at 89.13%, and yet his underhand free throws have rarely ever been seen since. So let's put Rick Barry as the GOAT of underhand free throw shooting. But the next player is a bit different to Rick Barry. It's George Johnson, who was a teammate of Rick Barry. He was mostly a role player throughout the NBA for 14 seasons with a terrible free throw percentage of 41.2% during his rookie season. However, during his career, Barry worked with Johnson on his free throws, and by adopting the underhand technique, Johnson's free throw percentage increased from 41.2% in his rookie season to a 69.4% free throw shooter for his career. Johnson shot over 70% from the free throw line 8 times during his career. It's so very rare to see a free throw shooter increase his free throws substantially over their career. It doesn't matter how many practice shots Dwight Howard or Andre Drummond will take, they will never be able to improve their free throw shooting like Johnson did. At this stage you might be thinking, so what? There's been a few people that have used the granny shot and made it. It doesn't mean it will work for Shaq. Well, please take a seat before I blow your mind. In the 1960s, a Serbian and professional basketball player by the name of Radivoje Korac was once known for making 100 out of 100 free throws on a live television show in Belgium. And guess what? Yep, that's right. He shot the free throws underhand. He was so good that he currently holds the EuroLeague's all-time single-game scoring record of 99 points in one game. That's 99 points in one game, shooting underhand. There's one more player I would like to talk about. So let's move back in time to March 2nd, 1962. when Wilt Chamberlain recorded one of the most famous records in NBA history. 100 points to go along with 25 rebounds. You see, for this season was historic. Wilt was averaging 50 points per game, a record to probably never be broken. But during this season, something amazing happened. Wilt was shooting free throws underhand. During this 100-point performance in every game for Wilt to average 50 points per game, Wilt shot his free throws underhand, and yet this gets overshadowed by his godlike stats he used to put up with. But what makes it interesting is that Wilt was a 50% free throw shooter the season before. Wilt only started shooting his free throws this season, shooting a career high from the free throw line, making 61% of his shots. Now you might be wondering, so what? 61 isn't much different from 50%. But Wilt didn't get the coaching like Johnson did. Wilt wasn't exactly sure how to shoot underhand, but he still made a lot of shots. Without much practice, Wilt was able to improve his shooting percentage by over 10%. Quite a significant improvement, all thanks to the underhand shooting. And to prove to you that it was indeed all due to underhand shooting, Wilt didn't take another underhand free throw for the rest of his career, and Wilt finished a 50% free throw shooter. You might be wondering, why did Wilt stop if it was working so well? In his autobiography, Wilt said he knew the underhand shooting technique was the right thing to do, but he just couldn't do it. He said he felt like a sissy shooting the ball underhand. And to be honest, I can't blame him. People started calling it the granny shot. But we are talking about a man who is 7'1", and by his own account, a man who has slept with 20,000 women. And yet, Wilt couldn't shoot underhand. So I don't really think there's hope for anybody. So yeah, I think there's enough evidence out there to prove that the granny shot actually works, but players just don't want to use it. I mean look, there's been a few terrible free throw shooters throughout the NBA, so bad that teams even have to use a tactic in their game plan. For a lot of players, it's the only weakness in their game. Imagine if Shaq decided to call up Rick Barry and say, "Hey, I think you know a bit about this free throw thing. Can you teach me?" And maybe with a bit of practice from Rick, the man himself, it's not impossible to say Shaq couldn't become an average free throw shooter. But the thing is, Rick Barry did offer to help Shaq. And, well, Shaq responded to Rick's offer. Shaq said, "I would rather shoot 0% than shoot underhand. I'm too cool for that." Probably one of the most savage responses I've ever heard. But it doesn't stop there. Bad free throw shooters around the league aren't touching the granny shot. Andre Drummond made a statement saying, "Let's make this clear, I'm not shooting free throws underhand." And Dwight Howard has come out publicly and said he's not going to use the shot anytime soon. It must be frustrating to Rick. He knows this works, but nobody's taking it up. Except for one player, who's currently outside the NBA, but in the G League, and it's Kenyon Barry, Rick Barry's son. You can't make this up. He is shooting 86% from the line. But let me know what you think in the comments. Would you actually shoot a free throw like this?